Hi, everybody. Welcome again to another episode of the ShopNotes Podcast. I'm your host, Phil Huber, joined today, as always, by Logan Whitmer, back from his Vegas trip, and John Doyle, still cleaning out stuff. On today's episode, number 113, we're going to talk about some odd stuff we have in our shop, some tool updates, old tools, a little project help, and more. Hope you stick around and enjoy the show. This episode is brought to you by Shaper Tools. They're the makers of the Shaper Origin, the handheld CNC router that brings digital precision to the craft of woodworking. Tackle joinery, cabinetry, hardware installation, and more with speed and precision. Right now, you can try it risk-free in your shop for 30 days. Visit shapertools.com to learn more. I want to say thanks to everybody who leaves comments on our YouTube channel or sends us an email. I want to read a couple of those here today. Craig from last week's episode writes, as a professional woodworker / furniture maker, many of my customers come to me with photographs of existing products and ask me to make something similar for them. Usually the dimensions need to be altered, or a different color, wood species, or drawers instead of a door, etc. Enjoy the show. Thank you. Michael writes, something I discovered for refinishing wood years ago is Howard's Restore-A-Finish. It's surprising how well it blends the former surface to match entirely. Then Michael writes, great show as always, gentlemen. I have to say I do enjoy the inside baseball talk about how the magazine is put together. It reminds me that there's a lot of people working really hard to make it. Oh, and my wife said she was taking a hard pass on the one thing a day challenge. Oh, well, I guess I'll try it in my shop starting May 1st, I think. So with that, John, how about an update on your one throwing away one more item every day?
Yeah. So update, if this is your first podcast, what the challenge is, I started April 1st. Get rid of one thing on April 1st. The next day, April 2nd, you get rid of two things. And on 3rd, 4th. So we are in the 20s now. So I had to get rid of 20-some things today. And they don't have to be big things. They can be little things. Sometimes it's a Band-Aid wrapper you find under your workbench, or, an Allen wrench, or an odd screw or washer. These things add up.
Sure.
But still going strong. I think we could continue this or reboot it again in May and document a little bit better. But as you caught me today, rehoming some things into our hardware bins here at the woodsmith shop. I said when we get this all done, we might be able to do it in our work shops as well and go through this, because it's nice just to kind of go through an inventory and see what you got too much of or superfluous things and whatnot. But it's helping me even, like we've mentioned before, it's not all just throwing things away. Some things are donated, some things are rehomed in their actual spots inside the house where they belong. And so it helps get organized and just kind of inventory what you got. So still going strong, feeling good about it. I'm going to have a clean garage by the time we get this all done, and can start all over collecting things again.
Right.
So
I was thinking we should do that. Like you said, we were talking about starting that up here, at least on the video studio set. And I wish I had the opportunity to do a 360 camera rotation of what this room looks like right now.
Oh, God, I'm so glad you can't.
Because we're like mid-construction still. We're doing pretty well, but we collect things around here, and the intermittent nature of our video schedule means that stuff gets started or gets mid-process, and then we get moved along to something else, and then we have to come back. So there's little piles of just different items in here that could stand to be gone through. I will say I was pretty impressed with Mark in the main shop. He did a pretty thorough cleaning this week and ransacked the scrap lumber bin and cleaned that out. And so the main shop is in good shape. This one, I think, just suffers mostly cosmetic flaws because of the construction. Although one part that you very rarely see on camera or only at a distance is kind of like a built-in hutch storage unit off to the side, which is our transitional space, let's call it, where we'll change bits or find a driver bit or whatever. And that's kind of a catch-all for all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I will say it's kind of funny how many, I mean, you probably could have done several days or early in the month on extra Allen wrenches.
Yes, I still have quite a few that I'm finding in every little nook and cranny. And I have like a full set, at least one full set of metric and standard, maybe two. And so I don't know why I keep all these little random Allen wrenches that I get with every toy that needs assembled or IKEA piece of furniture type thing, and I just collect. So
I'll say that was going to be my question. Like, when you assemble furniture, or everything comes with an Allen wrench? Like, there has to be like one company somewhere in Asia that makes 45 million Allen wrenches per hour, and they supply
and they're just
the
pooping
entire.
them out.
Yes, and they supply the entire furniture world with Allen wrenches.
Yep.
Do you guys keep those when you get them? Like, if you get like a new router or a new tool that has an Allen wrench, do you keep it or do you throw it in the garbage?
I try not to, but it's like I don't know if you get two in a drawer, they start multiplying or what. But it's like in the junk drawers and every nook and cranny in the garage. I mean, yeah, there's got to be like this Joe Allen must be like rich because there's some extrusion machine that's just spitting out hex extrusions and bending them and
I think it's
out.
self-aware now.
Mm-hmm. That's funny. Yeah,
no, sometimes I'll keep
need.
I'll sometimes keep it to assemble the project, but there's even been times where I open up the box and the Allen wrench just immediately goes in the trash, and I get my nice set out.
Mm-hmm.
The only time that I have extra Allen wrenches is for a specific tool. Like there's a couple of Allen wrenches that I need for my bandsaw. So I'll have a couple at the bandsaw so I don't have to go on a search and rescue mission to find Allen wrenches for it. I know the ones that I need are right there. But, I mean, even that, I was a little disappointed the last time that I was at the various big box stores. I was trying to find like a decent set or even just onesie-twosie of a nice T-handle Allen wrench, and I couldn't find them. Like, just non-existent. So
I think they're all in my garage. That's where they're at.
Let's say,
come get them.
I buy them at Harbor Freight. Like, I love the Harbor Freight T-handle ones. Like,
oh yeah.
I have a set down here. I have a set in the garage. And yeah, if I ever assemble something and it comes to the Allen wrench, it goes directly in the garbage, and I go get one of the T-handle sets.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to do that. Just get myself a Harbor Freight coupon and.
They don't do those anymore.
No.
No, they get rid of their 40% off things, or were they 20%? 20% off? 20% off. They got rid of those. Bring back the coupon.
All right, and Logan, you're back from your Vegas trip. I'm going to give a little update on that.
Yeah, so I was supposed to be in Vegas for part business, part personal. I was a friend of mine and I were going down there to do a kind of a weekend class with my buddy Jimmy Clues, and it was going to coincide with a friend of his visiting from Ireland, and his friend's name is Pat Carroll, and Pat is an extremely talented turner, probably one of the better turners in the world. So it was going to be an opportune moment to say, hey, let's shoot a project or two over there. They would be turning projects, but kind of heavily relying upon the technique or particular techniques for each project. So it wasn't necessarily a turning project. It was a project that was turning, but there was a technique that you could pull out and put in different work. And poor Pat got over to the airport in Dublin, in Ireland, and U.S. immigration denied him access to the U.S. So I don't know if he just got a guy that had a bad morning or whatever. But Pat was not allowed to come over. So, everything was already booked. I already had everything all packed. All the camera gear was packed. So Jimmy and I decided to do a couple projects there. I kept him, I don't want to pay flight change fees and all that stuff. So we ended up shooting a couple touring projects that turned out really nice. And we're going to kind of reschedule the shoot with Pat for later in the year once he gets a work visa, which ended up being the entire root of the problem. They said even though he was here for vacation, he needed a work visa because he was doing one magazine shoot with me. So I guess you could say I was the cause of his issues, but so we're going to reschedule that for later this summer, but it will work out because I'm going to also do a project with a gal by the name of Lupe Nielsen down there. Lupe is a well-known collector and a well-known person in the magic world. She does a lot of magic prop building. Her late husband was one of the original, one of the original Las Vegas magicians. So she's very well known for doing these magic props. So she's going to start working on designing some little magic project that, grandpas can make for their grandkids and stuff. So I think it'll be kind of a fun project. So
is she a
overall,
double door
it's a
too?
good thing, but yes, I think so.
All right.
But yeah, and I'm sitting here and I brought a bunch of stuff back with me from Vegas. I shipped a pallet of wood down there. And I had some of my personal lumber on there and some of my tools and stuff. And on the way home, I just brought it back with me. And I'm sitting here. You probably saw me waxing my piece of ebony. So I got it back here. I brought these 2 chunks of ebony down with me. And when I was down there, I was like, what I should do? I bought these from Woodpecker. Woodpeckers had a sale on ebony turning blanks. And they were really cheap, but they were completely wet. So I bought a couple of them. And they're really nice. They're very, very dark and very nice. But when I got home, I was like, I should plane off the wax on 4 sides to let them start to slowly dry. Well, they started to crack.
Oh boy.
So, so I'm like sitting here packing these cracks full of beeswax, trying to slow down some of this drying and checking and trying not to throw $80 worth of ebony in the garbage. So
It just becomes smaller parts. That's all.
Yeah.
that's right. It becomes smaller finials then.
And you did that here in Iowa? You took the wax off here? Not
I
in
did,
Vegas?
yeah. If you see behind me, there's a bunch of ebony shavings right there where I planed off the outside layer. Whoops. Shouldn't have done that, I guess.
Huh.
So, no, overall, it was a good trip. It's one of those things now, going down and turning with Jimmy, and he said it. He's like, you know how to turn. He's like, I don't have to tell you how to turn. He's like, but the other stuff, it's like, oh, hey, let's do some. It's more now. The classes with him are more like advanced design classes,
sure,
rather than like turning fundamentals. So it's like, oh, hey, that shape's really good, or we can make it a little bit better by moving this curve a little bit. Let's see what that does. So, kind of an interesting, different way to approach classes. So
nice.
I did a lot of coloring when I was down there.
You also got to experience weather phenomena that you don't really experience here in Iowa.
Yeah, we don't usually get dust storms here, but I got to experience my first Las Vegas dust storm, which was pretty cool. Like 55, 60 mile an hour winds blowing the desert into the town. So it was kind of cool. I felt like there was going to be an old Western shootout happen in the streets of Las Vegas. So, but yeah, that was kind of fun. So I will say this, and I've said this before, I enjoy going down to Las Vegas as long as I stay away from Las Vegas. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like that whole touristy casinos. Like, that doesn't do anything for me. Like, I don't like that. I would much rather, if you stay outside of that and, you're more residential, like the real Las Vegas, it's a pretty cool place. I don't like the touristy stuff. In anywhere, not only Vegas, anywhere I don't do touristy stuff. So.
Yeah. So I would guess that most of the folk that live in Vegas, even the people who end up working in tourist Las Vegas, have a separate local Las Vegas that they do their day-to-day stuff in.
Oh, yeah. Oh, completely, yeah. Yeah, and it was one of those things where, first couple times I was down there talking to Jimmy and his wife, they're like, only time we go to Vegas is if we have to pick somebody up.
Right.
Or go to the Strip is if we have to pick somebody up. So when I was down there, I wanted to meet with Lupe and talk to her about, doing this article, kind of pitch it to her on doing it when I go back down. And I said, I told Jimmy and Mary, I was like, hey, let's take Lupe to dinner. I'll take everybody to dinner. They, being there halfway for a work trip, it's like they fed me the entire time. So it's like, I can get you guys dinner one night. So I took them all to dinner. And I said, Mary, bring us to, make reservations where you remember eating when you were a little girl, back when Vegas wasn't super touristy. So she made us a reservation at some, Las Vegas steakhouse that was, kind of like the OG Las Vegas steakhouse, and it was really good and stuff. So yeah, I think they definitely have their own Las Vegas that's not the tourist Las Vegas. So
Was it Golden Corral?
it was. Yeah, I knew this was familiar.
Perfect.
Yes.
All right, one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was inspired a little bit by what John's been doing. And my dad, who I'm pretty sure listens to the show here, he just moved and has been cleaning out his shop and getting rid of stuff, is talking about maybe some of the odd stuff that you've come across in your place, John, that where it's like, this stuff you wouldn't normally think belongs in your shop, and yet it does. So you had mentioned a few things a couple of days ago when we were talking about this.
I'm trying to think what they were now. It seems like a lot of like kitchen stuff you'd find in your kitchen ends up in the shop, like toothpicks, popsicle sticks, the little cups from yogurt and fruit, like little snack size fruit that you use to mix epoxy and finishes and that kind of thing. I'm trying to think what else. Syringes.
Q-tips? You guys have Q-tips in your shop?
Q-tips, definitely good for getting in the little cracks and crevices with glue and finish and whatnot.
I actually started ordering the longer ones, like the swabs you get at the doctor's office.
You've been stealing those out of COVID tests? You like get the free COVID test and throw it away.
I go and take COVID tests just to get those.
Just like, I just wanted the Q-tip, man. So,
yeah. Can I just get the swab off of that? I don't actually need the COVID test. I just want the swab.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff like that, or sometimes the iron or blow dryer from the laundry room will end up in the shop. Find that useful. So, I don't know. What do you guys?
I get a lot of ice cream containers, like the plastic ice cream tubs.
Okay.
Yeah, I find a lot of empty ice cream containers in my shop too, with the spoon still in them.
Yeah. Or like, that's like terrible. Like the Costco size animal cracker container is my reg container.
Yes.
So I cut up T-shirts and throw it in there.
Yeah, I use a empty like Parmesan cheese shaker, and I put all like the bent nails and used up razor blades, stuff like that, so it doesn't end up in a car tire or whatnot. So I find that pretty useful. That was, I think, one of a reader tip we got a while back, and it's pretty clever. So
I know my kids for school lunches will pack lunch, and so we end up with a ton of these like little fruit cups. So we have 95,000 empty fruit cups. So I've been bringing a few of them in, like John said, for dispensing glue or mixing up epoxy when you only need to do a little bit of it. And then we've also found at Aldi grocery store, they have like a ready-to-eat quinoa bowls, kind of. So they come in slightly larger cups that I'm showing here on the YouTubes. And then they have like a little sauce packet that goes on the top. But these bigger ones are nice for, smaller amounts of finish, or, a lot of times, like when we use the general finishes milk paint, you can get a little different effect by thinning it or mixing it with mixing colors to get a custom color, and that's kind of a fun size for that. And then once those kind of build up, I bring a few of them in here and then have a few of them in my home shop.
Yeah. You know what? So I take those things for is as a turner. I keep those for, I don't have a blank sitting here, but casting turning blanks.
Oh.
Because a lot of guys will make like molds out of the PFTE plastic or cutting boards or something, and then resin cast in those. And it's like, I ain't got time for that. Like, find a little Tupperware container or a little yogurt container, and you cast it in there, and then you just turn the container off when it's on the lathe.
That's a cool idea.
So, yeah.
I know I don't know if you mentioned it, John, when I went to pick up these cups, but you had said something about like bamboo skewers too.
Oh yeah, yep, they're good for spreading glue or mixing or putting in holes where screws have stripped out of the wood, gluing those in and whatnot. So
I also found in my shop a bunch of rubber Fernco plumbing fittings that I've collected over the years for dust collection adapters, like to go from, like my bandsaw to my shop vac, or different size ports on the, like a power sander to shop vac or whatever. And those are kind of fun because they're relatively low cost, and because the rubber is so squishy, you can get a really decent fit and adapt it pretty easily for different things. Like I have a dust deputy in my shop as the primary dust collector, so I use those Fernco fittings to make the various connections on those.
Sure.
One of my favorite things I keep down here is I keep I don't have a bunch of them, but I always have mason jars floating around. Like the smaller size. They're not the little ones, but they're like this size. They're like the, I don't know, cup and a half, 2 cup ones, like 400 milliliter. And I like those. And then I did end up with a bunch. I ended up with a bunch of these things from the print shop, and I don't know what they were for, but they are Webril handy pads. They're lint-free, 100% cotton, non-woven, like little pads. Like the press operators had these guys back there for something, and these are handy little freaking things to have. So I when they were getting rid of the box of them, I got like 4 of these things at one point, and I'm down to my last pack. So just kind of a stupid little thing that's like, it works really well when you need something that's lint-free.
Yeah. Once again, thank Shaper Tools. They're sponsoring today's episode. They make the Shaper Origin, that handheld CNC router. I'm sure you've seen it in a variety of places. It adds digital precision to your woodworking. You can do all kinds of stuff with it that gives you both speed and precision, like cabinetry construction, hardware installation, joinery, quite a bit of stuff. You can try it in your shop risk-free for 30 days. Check out shapertools.com to learn more.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the other things I just brought and threw in the drawer. Playing cards are good for shimming, making, minor adjustments. We need to shim things up because I think we end up with a lot of decks of playing cards with 49 cards in them, and then it's like, what do you do with it? Throw it away? And it's like, no, you bring it in the shop. You could use it for shim. So yeah,
funnels.
Oh, funnels.
Yep. And I always end up stealing them from the kitchen upstairs. So I finally bought a bunch of little I think it was another Harbor Freight thing. It's like they had a pack of a dozen of them for 42 cents. So I got them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I'm always stealing small measuring cups and teaspoons and like for measuring out and mixing things. So we have a lot of mismatched measuring cups in our kitchen. So probably be good just to buy a set for one for the kitchen and one for the garage shop, and not mixing back and forth of food items and chemicals, you know?
When you put it through the dishwasher,
Right,
it's got to be
right.
clean.
It's like, why does this taste like burning? So, yeah.
Yeah, measuring spoons are nice, even if they're, not that I'm looking for a specific measurement, it's just to have ratios of something, or on a lot of my projects I've been using the powdered Durham's rock hard water putty
Okay.
for as a filler, and you just need something to scoop it out of there, and it doesn't really matter what the specific amount is, so it's nice to have a couple of extra measuring spoons out there. I also have quite a few little scrap pieces of leather that I use for like feet on furniture or chair legs or something like that, because I feel like that does a better job of creating a scratch-free leg protector, as opposed to like those stupid felt things that just grab onto all the grit in your house and scratch up the floors automatically.
Yeah. Yeah, I seem to end up with a lot of leftover school supplies too. Like, you send your kid with fresh school supplies at the beginning of every year, and then they bring them back and you get new ones. So I have a lot of crayons, it seems like, when I need, spare wax on something that's not going to show, or colored pencils for when regular pencil doesn't or won't show up on dark wood. So it's like light colored pencils grab out of the bin, and it's a lot of little supplies like that.
I think I have like 3 compasses, that I have from old school supplies that I just use for drawing arcs and circles that work just fine.
Yep. They're great.
So here's a question that I have that I'm going to pose to you guys, and then also to the larger listening audience, is some of the things that my dad found in cleaning out his shop is a bunch of random brace augers that he's collected over the years, because apparently I get it from him, where I just can't stand to see some stuff get thrown out. There's a few more that he's given me. These were the ones that are in the best shape. They're the Irwin pattern with the solid core in the middle. And then several years ago, before that, he found a whole set of the Jennings pattern bits in a fun box at a rummage sale, and it's a pretty cool setup. So I have almost a complete set. The half inch is in the brace that I'm using for one of the projects for the TV show, but I think this is the 13/16 one. Somebody hacked the end off of it, so I'm kind of on the lookout for that, just to make a complete set. Although I do like the Irwin ones too, so I'll probably fix up these. But the question that I have is, would you condone somebody from finding, said brace augers and hacksawing the tapered shank off to be able to use in hand drills? Is that legitimate or an abomination?
If it's going to keep you from throwing them away and not using them, I say do it. Just cut it off, use it. But that's just me.
Yeah, and I think in the past I would be in the camp of, no, you gotta, that's how the tool was made, and we should have more people using brace augers, or braces and brace augers. And now I think I feel like, there are so many of these bits out there, and they can be very helpful in a powered drill, and in many cases, even when dull, drill a better hole than a stupid spade bit.
For all your spade bit love and hate mail to Phil, send your emails to.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, we were talking about this yesterday, Phil, so I had to grab my set and check them out. And mine are the Irwin set, too.
Okay.
Now, I think in my opinion, if you have a complete set or a semi-complete set like we have, don't chop them up.
Sure.
My opinion. If it's a onesie, twosie,
Right.
which in one of my drawers, one of my tubs, I have a bunch of them. And, yeah, if it's a mismatch set, go for it. Chop that SOB up, make an all out of it. I don't really care, But if it's a good complete set, keep it a good complete set, in my opinion.
Right. Which is why I'm a little miffed at the fact that whoever had this set had a complete set and still chopped one of them off. I would say, and it's one of those things where if you're not going to use a brace or you don't, that's just not your deal, and you find them onesie twosie, even if you end up collecting a whole set and chop them, but you end up using them in your power drill, like, more power to you. Those are cool bits. They work really well. Go at it. And I think I might do that. Since I have a complete set, I would consider, gathering up some other ones and sharpening them. They're not hard to sharpen at all, and having them for a power drill for certain applications, especially outdoor projects or something. That, like I said, spade bits have their use, but sometimes it just doesn't need to be. Sometimes a spade bit ends up being so crappy that you might as well just blow a hole with dynamite through something.
Yeah.
Right.
So
what do you got there?
Wow.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't realize I had this many. I'm so embarrassed now. But some of them, new old stock.
Dude, they're in really great shape.
Yeah, but then I have some that are like, like reamers. Like, come on,
Oh, like a
man.
reamed. Oh, yeah.
That'd
That's
make
cool.
a nice
Like,
spear.
Yep. Yeah, I got some spoon bits in there. Like,
Okay.
what the heck? I forgot I had all these. So you got some of the.
Do you have center bits?
Yeah, center bit.
Or
I might
spur
have
bits or whatever?
Yeah, I have a couple of different sizes of them bad boys. Some of them are really old because they don't. Well, no, these ones aren't that old, but yeah. So it's like, if you end up with crap like I have, cut them SOBs up. I do have a couple of these little gimlet bits too.
Oh, yep.
So
Nice.
yeah. Okay, you want to know what the dumbest ones I think there are? That's a big one.
Wow.
Like, we're gonna have to bring that in and sharpen up for a video and see how well that works, because that would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if you have
See, the ones that I got from my dad are all rusty. I might have to have you bring in your little box of treasures there. And
I can do that.
would you be willing to part with some of those?
Oh yeah. I forgot I had them until I looked Philip. These are the dumbest freaking things ever made.
Oh yeah.
I have 2 of those, and I thought, that's a great idea.
No, they're
Nope.
not. They're dumb.
I don't know if anybody had. I think they're called expansive bits. And
Yeah.
if you've had success with them, I would love to hear from you.
This is the
Like,
Irwin
please leave a
number.
comment.
The Irwin number 2. It says US of A.
That's right, baby.
So,
US of
It's
A.
kind of fun.
All the way.
I do have a couple of those Jennings bits in here too, so that's kind of fun.
Oh, yep.
So yeah, I'll bring this in, Phil. This is so interesting. I forgot I had all this.
See, swap meet.
I know. Or what about this? Old school meets new school.
Oh, wow.
Oh boy,
We got an auger
twist bit.
twist bit. That's awesome. Or a brace twist bit.
I've seen I think I saw at one of the Handworks events that they had auger with the tapered shank Forstner bits, which is kind of curious to me.
So like some of these bigger gimlets, which I didn't buy all these at once. I'm gonna say I bought all these at once just to make myself feel better, like it was a lot of them.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Yeah, I know. But like some of these little gimlets have lead screws on them, which I did not realize. I hadn't looked at them that closely, obviously. And I think I used one of these once. I'm pretty sure I used this one to drill in some wall anchors. Some drywall.
Looks like it.
Mm-hmm.
So some of them might be slightly used, but this is cool. All right. This is coming in with me tomorrow.
Woohoo!
There it is. It's heavy, too, because there's a lot of them in there.
Yeah. My dad had a bunch of sharpening stones in there, too, like little dinky ones. I found one that I believe is either a hard or a soft Arkansas stone, because I think it's kind of gunked up, but I feel like I can see some modeling in the coloring on it, so it's not like a translucent one. It's more of the, I don't know, like I said, hard or soft. I think we'll do a video on cleaning those up and resuscitating oil stones. Maybe we should do a video on resuscitating auger bits, too. I think that would be kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, there you go.
You know what that means? That means I'd have to dig through and find my auger bit file. I have one somewhere. I know I do. I just don't know where it's at. Surprised it's not with my auger bits. You'd think that'd be the logical place.
Yeah,
to
it
put
should be in the tub there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, it should be in my case.
Oh,
which
yeah.
Now that I'm looking at these two sets, I think some of them that are in my tub are better than the ones in my case. So it's like, at that point, do you
Swap
just mix
them out.
and match them? I think I do. Yep.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Yep.
Because I believe some of mine are probably mix-matched, too, that need to be... I mean, they're all the same style, but there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And for all the hand tool nerds out there, cast your vote for what's better, the Jennings pattern or the Irwin pattern. So,
Can I make my case for the Irwin pattern?
make it.
I think it's completely in my head, but I feel like with this central spire going through, if you're watching on YouTube, there's that central shank that goes all the way to the tip. I feel like you get a better, more consistent, or easier to read downward force versus the Jennings style, which is a double twist. Now, technically, this probably takes out chips better, but I'm not using a brace that fast that chips are going to clog anyways. So I feel like I can get a better downwards and perpendicular force with this, or
Sure.
maybe it's just a better read on it, because you get that good central reference versus that guy, which there's kind of an ambiguous center in it. So that's my case for them.
Okay.
Yep.
I can see that.
Yep.
So like I said, anybody's got a vote or got a horse in the race that they want to make their claim for, I would love to hear about it. We can read comments on it for next week. On the show notes page, I'm also going to put photos of my router mortising jig that I've been working on. I'm kind of closing in on the final design of it, and I really want to get this done. I've had a few other projects that kind of just came up in a higher priority for me. So I'd like to get this mortising jig wrapped up, and I'd be interested in people's opinion on how to best set the set the table, which will determine the location of the mortise on a workpiece. Because I had a fully adjustable one in my version 1.0, and I'm thinking now that I'll just do it like indexed. So one setting will be centering a mortise on 3/4 inch material. Another one will be, and have it just 3 settings: 3/4, 1-inch material, and 1.5 inch, and not deal with any kind of threaded raising and lowering mechanism. The big thing is, how do I do that so then I can lock the table in that position easily? So the photos, I think, on the show notes page will show that pretty clearly, what I'm trying to get across. So anybody, talked to John about this the other day when you were out, Logan, and maybe tomorrow morning I'd like to hear your thoughts on it too. Mm-hmm. So trying to simplify this thing, because it's, as we've talked about in the past, and this is the reason that this project has been lingering for almost 1.5 years, is the fact that I'm trying to go away from being able to do every possible conceivable mortise operation to the 90% operations.
So I'm going to ask a question, and it's just a question.
Mm-hmm. Bring it.
Why an inch material?
Because I feel like there's enough times when, we've done projects around here where we actually are using full 1-inch material. And maybe I'm just deluding myself that it doesn't really matter and just do 3/4 and 1.5 inch.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, if I, and this is just good machine practice anyway, you have a reference face, and that always goes on the table or against the fence or whatever.
Yep.
So whether a mortise is centered in 1-inch thick material or is slightly off center, so long as those two mortises align, it doesn't really matter, I don't think, in terms of strength.
No, I agree with you. I was only asking because I think if I was going to say I wanted 3 thicknesses of material to center mortises on, I agree with the 3/4.
Okay.
I agree with the 1.5 inch. That center one, though, I feel like, and this is just personal for what I build, I feel like I would try to do something where it would create a offset or a shadow line. You know what I mean? So like if you were putting an apron or a rail that's 3/4 inch thick onto an 1.5 inch or 2-inch leg, you could create a 1/4 inch offset.
Right.
That's just kind of, I think that's where I would place it.
Sure.
But I don't know how often. I'm just thinking about it. I don't know how often I would actually do that.
Yeah.
But you could always use shims underneath to adjust that too, though. So
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like I could just, slip a piece of hardboard or something underneath. And
speaking of which, where do you buy damn tempered hardboard at? Because nowhere around here has it anymore. Like, and I know we've gotten those questions before.
Yeah.
Like, Menards does not have it.
Woodsmith
Lowe's
store
does not
used to
have it.
carry it.
Yeah.
And I haven't checked at the Woodsmith store recently to find tempered hardboard. Yeah, because I know Mark did a seminar today on templates and patterns, and he was talking about how for pretty much all of his template work, he uses 1/4 inch MDF. 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch MDF because it's easy to shape and whatever. And I've always preferred hardboard over MDF because hardboard is, oddly enough, tougher.
Weird.
I think it's just a better product overall. But for templates and patterns, I can totally see using MDF.
Yeah. At Menards, you can get the stuff that's got the screen pattern on the back.
Yeah, the waffle
and it's just
pattern on the back, yeah.
Terrible.
It's fuzzy. It's so fuzzy.
Yeah, it's just like mush. So
Yeah. You know what I used last? I think I told you guys this. I had some. I'm looking around. I don't see it in here. I had some stupid fiberglass sheets from my grandpa's house, like 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch fiberglass.
Okay.
Now, don't cut it on your bandsaw because it'll be the last thing you cut on that blade. And I made that mistake. But if I won't be dang, that thing worked. That fiberglass worked like a champ for making. I used it to create templates for routing out the handles on my floating nightstands I did. It freaking worked great. I don't know where to buy it. I'm sure it was one of those things like Grandpa probably picked up a bunch of sheets in the 70s, and we have since decided that it's not the most healthy thing for you to work in your shop. And
Right.
You can't buy
It's
it
probably
anymore.
asbestos fiberglass.
It probably is. But man, it worked so nice. I know it's around here somewhere. I'll probably find it and jump up and grab it in a minute. But
All right. You guys got anything project-wise that you're working on? When does construction start for your shop, Logan?
so I close on my financing on it on Monday.
Okay.
So in a couple days. Then I'm kind of at my builder's at his mercy as far as when it starts. I mean, it's everything from my standpoint is pretty much ready. I do have to. I have a lot of lumber I need to move before they start putting anything up. And I have one more walnut tree to take down, but that's just they drop it and chunk it up. And I mean, I can do that in an hour. So, yeah, I'm just kind of at my builder's mercy. The most exciting thing I have going on right now, besides trying to get this issue of pop wood out, is a buddy of mine and I are doing some logging, which is kind of fun. Kind of different, instead of harvesting logs and knowing that I'm going to be the one that saws them, we're dropping a bunch of trees, we're hauling them off and stacking them, and we have a couple log buyers lined up to come and buy them. Just because there's so many of them, I can't. Yeah, it's a weird thing for me, but man, it's super exciting because I know now that the log's down and it's graded. So I'm kind of grading them and setting them off to the side. Like, hey, this is a potential veneer log, this is a saw log, this is a firewood log. And I'm kind of marking them and stuff. It's kind of exciting because I don't have any more work to do with them. It's like I don't have to put them on the sawmill. I don't have to cut them. I don't have to waste the blades. I don't have to get the gas. Don't get me wrong. I still love all that, but I took off Tuesday, and Sean and I, we hauled 75 walnut logs that day.
Wow.
All 10 foot long. I mean, we have a stack of walnut, so it's kind of cool. We're going through. We're going to sell all the walnut. There's a bunch of pig nut hickory that we're going to cut. I've never cut pig nut hickory before, so that will be an interesting one to cut. And there's some bur oaks that we're also going to sell. And there are some northern red oaks, which I don't see a whole lot of northern red oak growing around here. Even though it's a super common tree, I just don't ever really get it. So I think I'm going to keep a couple of those red oaks and cut those as well. With us doing this, it's kind of cool because Sean's he's self-employed, so whenever he doesn't have jobs lined up, he's like, I'm just gonna go down and cut. And I'm like, great, cool. If we end up with a bunch of stuff, I would love to buy. This is something I never thought I would say, but I would love to end up with a 4-sided molder to be able to make flooring.
Okay.
It's not something I ever thought I would say. It's like, well, why would I turn that beautiful hardwood into flooring when I could be making projects out of it? You get to a point where you have so much lumber, it's like, what else can I do with it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can make flooring out of it. Plus, having a 2-sided planer sounds really nice.
Right.
So yeah, that's the most exciting thing I have going on right now.
Okay. All right, I think that wraps up another episode. Stay tuned next week as we wrap up John's April challenge on getting rid of stuff and see how he does. Also, it'd be interesting to see if any of you are inspired by John's efforts and wanting to jump in on the one-a-day shop cleanup challenge. It's the perfect time for it, spring cleaning. So also, thanks again to Shaper Tools for sponsoring today's podcast. They're the ones that make that Shaper Origin. It looks like a handheld router, but it's a CNC and adds a lot of precision to your woodworking. You'll do all kinds of stuff from installing hardware, cabinetry, joinery, all that stuff. You could try it in your shop for 30 days. Visit shapertools.com to learn more. Once again, love to hear your questions, comments, and smart remarks. Send them on our YouTube channel or to woodsmith@woodsmith.com via email. Don't forget to check out the show notes page at woodsmith.com/podcasts. Bye, everybody.
Ashes is still terrible wood for a workbench.
Oh.